In air combat, pilots of all sides will inevitably see losses and casualties. Sometimes, however, with losses of pilots, there are strange circumstances around missing men that simply cannot be explained, or their outcomes are never fully known. In this video, we will take a look at 5 great aces from the Second World War who would actually disappear in their final flights, never to be seen again. In wartime, all sides are constantly trying to protect their own valuable information from those looking to steal it. Today, you should be doing the same thing. And thanks to this video's sponsor, Exter, it has never been easier to protect your valuable information. In case you don't know, Exter makes premium wallets that protect your cards from people trying to take your information. In addition, they look fantastic and are actually a lot more practical than traditional wallets. They sent me a few to try out, and I cannot tell you how much I'm already loving it. It is a great feature that fans out your cards at the press of a button, so there is never any more digging to find the right one. And probably best of all, they have an additional option for a tracker card that fits snugly into your wallet and basically makes it unlosable. By syncing it to your phone, you can always know where your wallet is and even ring it if you can't find it. So if you want to check out these awesome wallets from Exter and support TJ3 History at the same time, go to the link in the description today and grab one for yourself. Thanks again to Exter, and without further ado, enjoy. Starting off this list is a Luftwaffe ace by the name of Wolfgang Shellman. The story of this German pilot is a little bit different than most others because he actually began his fighter career far earlier than most. He first saw action in the Spanish Civil War in the years before World War II broke out, where he took down 12 fighters in this conflict. This tally would put him among the best scorers in the Luftwaffe, second only to the famous Werner Möllers. Following this, he took part in the Battle of France and the Battle of Britain, where he took down more French fighters along with a number of RAF Spitfires and Hurricanes in his Messerschmitt Bf 109, bringing his total tally to 24 kills. Then, however, he would be moved to the Eastern Front, where he would meet his demise. Here, on the first day of Operation Barbarossa, he would become the highest profile casualty of the day for the German armed forces. In a sortie over present-day Belarus, he found himself in a dogfight against the Soviets and took down his 25th and final kill. Here, after this victory, he was immediately rammed by another enemy fighter that severely damaged his aircraft. He was then forced to bail out over enemy territory and made it to the ground, but was never seen again, and nothing is known about his fate hereafter. The most likely outcome, according to historians, is that he was captured and murdered by NKVD troops, but we will never know for sure. There is no documented evidence of him ever appearing anywhere or being placed in any POW camps. Coming in at number 4 on this list is a very high-profile American flyer by the name of Floyd Wagner. This Pennsylvania native actually became famous for becoming the first American ace of World War II. He was stationed in the Philippines when Pearl Harbor was attacked, so in the immediate days following the U.S. entry into the conflict, he saw some of the very first action of the war. On a recon mission on the 12th of December of 1941, less than a week after the surprise attack on the American fleet, he would be attacked by 2 waves of Japanese fighters while in his P-40. He would use his advantage in a dive to escape his attackers and then turn back and shot them down. He claimed 4 kills on this day, becoming the leader of the U.S. forces. Then, just 5 days later, he took down another, becoming the first American ace of the war. A few months later, he brought down 3 more Japanese aircraft in a single day, which raised his kill total to 8. At this time, however, aces were hard to come by for the U.S. Army Air Corps, and so it was decided that his experience and knowledge could best be used back in the States training fighter pilots. Despite Wagner's protests at being pulled off the front lines, he was sent back home, and in November of 1942, on a routine flight in his P-40 over Florida, Floyd Wagner's plane disappeared. When he never arrived at his destination in Alabama, his fate became a mystery, and thus the highest profile flyer of the war at this point had vanished. 6 weeks later, however, the wreckage of his plane and his remains were found roughly 25 miles from the airfield at which he took off. No cause of the crash has ever been determined or released. More than 15,000 people attended his funeral in the following week. At number 3, we will go to Heinrich Schmidt. Schmidt was another German fighter ace who would see a great deal of success. He would tally an impressive 172 kills, all on the Eastern Front of the war. Here, he served in multiple battles and across multiple locations on the front lines. Regardless of where he saw action, though, he took down Soviet aircraft repeatedly. In 1943, however, at the young age of 23, Schmidt would embark on a sortie from which he would not return. This mission was on September 5th, where he would take down 2 Soviet aircraft, but later on he would go missing near the city of Kotelva in present-day Ukraine. While flying here, he simply disappeared, and there is no definite indication on what happened to him. Some historical evidence points to the possibility that he may have been shot down by friendly Hungarian forces in error, but this is not proven. Multiple scholars believe that this story could have simply been fabricated to uphold the illusion that he was never beaten by the enemy. But for now, unfortunately, the questions about the outcome of this famous airman will remain unanswered. Max Stotz, the second-place ace on our list, actually fought for the German Luftwaffe, but was a native of Austria. This famous ace is noteworthy because he is the highest-scoring pilot on this list. At the time of his disappearance in 1943, he had racked up an astounding 182 kills claimed in the skies fighting against the Soviets. He was a seasoned veteran at the ripe old age of 31 at the time of his final mission, which would come in August near a Belarusian city named Vitebsk. Here, after a dogfight with a Soviet Yak fighter, he was forced to bail out of his Focke-Wulf 190 after receiving heavy damage. He was uninjured himself and successfully made it out of his fighter, but this would be the last time he was ever seen by one of his wingmen, floating down over enemy territory. His fate beyond this may never be known. There is simply no documented information about this famous ace following him bailing out of his fighter on this day. But Soviet troops during this time were known for harsh treatment of German airmen, and even if he was sent to a POW camp in the USSR, survival rates were very grim. And finally, taking the top spot is one of the most famous pilots in the history of the RAF. As he gained a reputation for a skilled pilot, Erich Locke earned the name Sawed-Off Lockie for his extremely short stature. This did not hold him back at all, however, as he would go on to become the highest-scoring British pilot of the Battle of Britain by downing 21 German aircraft in the defense of his home island. He would quickly become one of the most famous pilots in the country, and would go on to down 5 more aircraft after the Battle of Britain to bring his tally to 26 by the fall of 1941. In August of that same year, however, he would be on a routine rhubarb mission near the coast of France, where he and his units were assigned to hit any German ground targets that they could find. He was on his way back from this sortie when he and his wingman spotted a convoy of German trucks and troops below them. Locke was last seen by one of his fellow pilots peeling off to attack these targets on the ground. Following this, he was never seen or heard from again. It is believed that he was hit by German AA fire in this attack and crashed shortly after. What makes this disappearance quite odd, however, is the fact that no wreckage of Locke's plane has ever been found, despite extensive searches of the area. Thus, the fate of one of the most famous RAF aces in history has remained unsolved. If you would like your name here at the end of all of my videos and access to awesome bonus content, then please use the link in the description and check out my Patreon to support my hard work. Thanks for watching, please click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.